Howdy, y'all. It's Dell
And Chuck.
from Old Southern Kitchen and Garden.
And we just got our first seed haul in from a lot of different places. But in this video, we wanted to go over the different types of tomatoes we'll be growing this season.
Yes, I'm going to break them down for you into kind of cherry tomatoes and then regular sized tomatoes. And there's about 2 tomatillos as well. So, anything else before we get to the breakdown?
Not, like we said before, we're not going mild with this. We have a lot of different tomatoes to show you today.
As they say in the South, go big, go home, balls to the wall, all those different sayings. Now, I do want to tell you, when we get into the tomato packages, we are showing you the front of the packaging and flipping it around to show you the back of the packaging, so you see all the information it takes for that type of tomato. So grab you a pen and paper and get ready to hit the pause button, and anything you're interested in, just make you some notes. But before doing all that, please, if you haven't, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, find us on Facebook and Instagram under Old Southern Kitchen and Garden, and let's get to it. Okay, y'all, so let's get started on the tomatoes. I've broken them up into 2 groups, kind of like cherry tomatoes and then larger normal sized tomatoes. Our first tomato is a red centiflora tomato. I'm going to show you the front of each pack and the back of each pack, so that if you're taking notes or you have questions or whatever, you'll get to see everything you see when you buy the pack. Our second tomato is Cherrylicious tomatoes. They look like cool little tomatoes, and if you like bright colors, these might be the ones for you. Let's see the back. Give you a chance to see that. Our third tomato that we're going to be growing is Champagne Bubbles tomato. Looks like a cool little tomato. There's the back. I don't know if you can see that well. Okay, our next one is the Tiny Tim tomato. Now, with me not knowing much about tomatoes, there are certain tomatoes I've heard of before, and a Tiny Tim tomato is one of those that I've heard of before. So, next up is the 42-day tomato. And as you can see on the packaging, it will tell you how many seeds you get if you buy from this particular vendor. And yes, a lot of my stuff has come from M.I. Gardener this year, but he's not the only one I've bought from. This, I am so excited. This was one of the first tomatoes I chose to buy, these blueberry tomatoes. I just love the color, and I'm not sure what to expect. I mean, I know they're not going to taste like a blueberry, but, hey, they're cool-looking tomatoes. And that is about it as far as the cherry tomatoes. Now we move into more, well, after the Roma, we'll move into the San Marzano tomato, which is a Roma-style tomato. And after this one, we're going to move into kind of some regular-sized tomatoes. Next up, Silvery Fir Tree tomato. Look like cool tomatoes. They would make very good Mater sandwiches, as we call them down south. There you go. Next up, I must admit, the chocolate striped tomatoes. I do a lot of tomato buying based off the pictures as someone who doesn't know much about the tomatoes. If you're not, familiar with them, you can really only buy them based off of picture. And I'm totally a shopper that does it visually. Next up, another tomato I've heard of before is the Boxcar Willie. So here's Boxcar Willie, and there's the back of the packaging. Next up, another one I'd heard of before doing anything with gardening is the Moneymaker tomato. Front page. packaging, back of the packaging. This next one is another one I bought strictly based off the image for the tomato. Black Seaman tomato. And here is the back. And if I'm going kind of fast, it's because you can stop, freeze frame, pause at any time. But that was it as far as the tomatoes. Next, I have a couple of tomatillos. This tomatillo purple looks like a beautiful tomato or tomatillo. Now, this is Baker Creek, so you did see that it's not all M.I. Gardner, but most of my tomatoes did happen to be M.I. Gardner. So, one more left. This is the Tomatillo Amarille or Amarille. I'm not exactly for sure about that pronunciation. I speak Southern and Redneck, so your guess is as good as mine. So, that's my two tomatillos. The only other thing I have is something in here that, as you can see, it says top secret. So these two in here are going to have their own video. So you'll have to watch to see what comes of those two that's in there. So hopefully this was a help to you, showing you the front of the packaging and the back of the packaging and showing you the tomatoes we are growing this year. Thanks.
As you can see from all the tomatoes, we're really getting excited about actually starting the seeds off. In our climate, we need to start the seeds off sometimes mid-January to late January to get them all planted in time.
Our last frost date, I think, is right around the beginning of March. So like March 7th is when we should have the stuff out, you know, planted into the ground or the containers or the pots or all that stuff. And down south, we have a really long growing season. I think our growing season is like 200 something days. It's most of the year. It's probably way more than 200, but anyway. Anything else, Chuck?
No, that's about it.
Okay, well, we hope you liked some of these tomatoes and are making you a list and getting some. And by the way, if you've grown any of these tomatoes, whether it was successful or not, or you have any tips about any of these tomatoes, since this is all new to us, please feel free to leave comments, give us heads up, advice, you know, let us know if you see any that are new to you and you want to try them. So, thanks a lot for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next video.